The other regulatory thing is the Creative Commons, and I'm extremely proud of this, that we're the first, this is the first project that's gone out commercially using that license. Ever since Lessig and Napster fought for the freedom to share, no brand, no publisher, no broadcaster has ever feared losing that complete control. Now, Creative Commons doesn't mean the audience who participate lose their rights, because it's still their text. And Ford still have their rights, because they're actually producing it, and Baby Cow still have their rights. And the actors got their rights. Everybody's got rights. You can't get rid of those. But actually, everybody's agreed to share. Yeah, so where it goes, we don't know. But there's real liberty. There's that, that's why we call it, isn't it? The sheer freedoms of engagement.
It certainly smells of that to me, looking at just the bits of the project that I can see already, which is, no, it tasted quite good. It's delicious. But, you know, just something like, for example, the, looking at it through the filter that I'd have to deal with, for example, if I was producing this show for Disney, for example, oh my God, you'd never get away with a tracking shot of a national car rental logo going by, even though it's on the street. That would be out. There would be, you know, no way to get through that thing. Do you have a sort of high level of compliance with your client in terms of those kinds of legal issues?
Often we've yet to see it, but as it's commercial media for a brand, it's not really their territory. Yeah, if we start saying things about the car which weren't true, yeah, get me in trouble. But that's more the ASA, the Advertising Standards Authority. So there's nothing in that media apart from the other brands putting in. But if other brands want to participate in that same open way, in fact, you can't edit out all the other brands around you. Yeah, that public space doesn't exist because it's all owned. It's all image-driven around us. So how do we live? How do we record ourselves around us?
You would think so, but you know, strangely, that argument never works with broadcasters. You know, with the crazy lengths to which you have to deal with errors and omissions, insurance, and that kind of thing. What about the, one thing that I was kind of, was delighted with was seeing that, in some extents, the Fallen project and where the Joneses were creating a content framework, and the audience is putting in content, I think, obviously a lot more substantially in your project than in ours. But basically, you're creating a story environment for user interaction, which drives the story forward in some way or other. What are your thoughts about that? Whether you're actually going to get user-generated content, or is it going to be loser-generated content? What are your thoughts about that? I know you've just launched it, but obviously these are issues you have to consider.
It could be argued that YouTube is full of rubbish. I strongly disagree. I know what you're saying about loser-generated content, but that one really naff clip that's a teenager recorded to his friend because they've done something silly, like fall over a curb, that means the world to them. It is so emotionally binding. It's fantastic, and you've got to respect that. We don't want to watch it. We don't go home at night and watch that, or 5,000 of them. But that catalytic effect was wonderful. So what we try and do is work with all that stuff that's coming in. The participants in their daily lives as they attach their blogs to our blogs, and the feeds coming through Twitters and stuff like that. Is build upon it. We're trying to add that 20% value to that 80% of the media. Because that's how you turn everything else into gold, and that's what we hope people want. That's always been the role of the broadcaster, to turn all the media that's around it into an edited channel of content. But actually, what we're trying to do is an edited service of media.
And I think as a producer too, it's fun to be able to respond to the audience directly and see what they're doing. Although it's hard to gauge the exact level to do that at, because our whole challenge with that genre is to bring it as mainstream as possible, because it's quite a an arcane nerd genre, or that's where it started. So how do you take that into the mainstream? And of course, it's difficult to know who the audience is you're playing to, because what I was describing with Regenesis, for example, is very simple. But in fact, if you're a real geek, there's a whole different layer of play that we've constructed that is so complex I can't even describe it. Where you're just searching for the most insane Easter eggs, but there's a whole level of player who's engaged in that as well, and they do have an important role to play in disseminating the story and giving it validity too.
Again, broadcast media is not on a schedule. You've got the TiVo, you can shift it all over the place, But if a young child watches this, and it's all pre-watershed kind of comedy, there's nothing somebody in there, and then tells their parents, that consumerscape is far more jumbled up. And I know marketers love their demographics and all the rest of it, and that's the type of person, that's the type of person, ABC ones, all the rest of it. I think it's nonsense, absolutely nonsense, because you want that dialogue between all these people. I mean, the level of participation as well, I'm quite aware that 1% will actually get involved and help us produce this. So the other 99% are just going to go to the blog and the wiki and just, at lunchtime, get 3-4 minutes of comedy. And they're going to get up to about 5 minutes a day, plus all the text and the images and where are these couple? In Poland, they're in Amsterdam, they've done what? Let's send them over there now. So there's very low barriers. Make it very, very easy to people because we want the engagement. It's not a massive task.
We spend a lot of time actually studying the way people use the game and the obsessive player, your average player, and of course 90% of the audience are lurkers who are just watching what the other people are doing. But it has to be a satisfying experience. So it's an audience, as you say. Should we open it up? Do we have a chance for a question or two?
I'd like to move on. We could do that in the breakout
Okay.
sessions, okay?
Awesome. So that is all the time we have. Thank you for bearing with us.
Thank you for sharing your time.
Yes, and your indulgence.